You're listening to War. We are America Radio.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. 17 seconds and counting. Guidance internal. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. Engines on. 5, 4, 3. All engines running.
America Radio.
Good evening. Yours truly, Dan Adams, a.k.a. the Soulful Conservative. Yours truly, host of the Political Heat, this show that you're listening to right now. We did a reboot, and I think we're good now. So if someone would hit me up in the chat room, go to weareamericaradio.com. That's weareamericaradio.com. And Mark St. Laurent just asked me if I was unplugged. Nah, wasn't unplugged. Just didn't have the right stupid output set so you guys could hear me. But it's all good now. You should hear me now because I hear myself. I appreciate the patience, and we're gonna get right into it. Seeing that we're kind of, thank you, Mr. J. Appreciate it. We're gonna go ahead and get right into it, to the festivities here. And as I fade that out, I love that music. Love that beat. Just love it. I'm gonna go ahead and switch my screen here. I'm gonna do a side by side. It's called. Here's Hussein.
On Wednesday, 14 Americans were killed as they came together to celebrate the holidays. They were taken from family and friends who loved them deeply. They were white and black, Latino and Asian, immigrants and American-born, moms and dads, daughters and sons. Each of them served their fellow citizens, and all of them were part of our American family. Tonight I want to talk with you about this tragedy, the broader threat of terrorism, and how we can keep our country safe. The FBI is still gathering the facts about what...
Okay, let me stop right there. Okay, we all know that he's full of crap right there. The FBI is still gathering facts. Okay. We all know what happened with those idiot reporters that just felt that they had to go in and just take over the crime scene, which in my estimation is a crime in itself, obstructing justice. They can't go into an active crime scene. They can't pull down freaking wood paneling, I believe that was on the freaking door. How is it that these reporters aren't in jail right now? Can someone hit me up in the chat room? weareamericaradio.com. Can somebody, if there's a lawyer, someone who knows that, I don't know, why in the world, first of all, the landlord let these idiot reporters onto the premises to begin with? That's my question. That's my question right off the bat. And then let them bogart. Yeah, that's right. He let them bogart into the building, bogart into the apartment, and just contaminate the crime scene like it didn't exist. So someone please explain that to me. How is that even possible? How is that possible? How can he just go in there and do that, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't even make sense. How is that possible? Somebody let me know.
What happened in San Bernardino, but here's what we know. The victims were brutally murdered and injured by one of their co-workers and his wife. So far, we have no evidence that the killers were directed by a terrorist organization overseas.
Okay, let me stop it right there. As we see, we're getting more evidence, and this man should have never have come on television. And I'm using the word man loosely when it comes to Barack Hussein Obama. Never should have come on TV and said the stuff that he said last night. And as I adjust my levels here, excuse me for just a second. Man should have never came on television, never should have said what he said. And of course, they had to come out today and refute some of the crap that he said last night in regards to the visa that the Clyde, I call them the Muslim Bonnie and Clyde, the Muslim Bonnie and Clyde visa was inaccurate as to how he described it. So right off the bat, this dude over here, I'm sorry, point the right way. This dude over here didn't have all the facts. And I wish I could just if I could just go right through his freaking head. But anyway, was Loretta Lynch watching that? Was the DOJ watching that? Was NSA listening into that? I hope not. Hope I'm not going to jail, people. But let's continue on with the commander-in-chief.
Or that they were part of a broader conspiracy here at home. But it is clear that the two of them had gone down the dark path of radicalization, embracing a perverted interpretation of Islam that calls for war against America and the West.
Okay. For anyone that has read the Quran, for anyone that has done studying of the Quran and the Hadith and everything else and I'm no scholar, I'm no expert, but from what I can tell and from what I can see and hear and take in with pretty good notion as to, okay, let's start off with Mark St. told me he's in the chat room. He wants me to poke him in the eye. Nah, I want to punch him in his face is what I want to do. But as I digress, what the heck was I just talking about? Woo! I was talking about it'll come back to me. So I'll go ahead and let this continue, and maybe it'll come back to me.
They had stockpiled assault weapons, ammunition, and pipe bombs.
Okay. And IEDs. He forgot to put that in there. IEDs. Improvised explosive devices. They had basically a factory in their house, ladies and gentlemen. They had a factory in their house of IEDs.
So this was an act of terrorism designed to kill innocent people. Our nation has been at war with terrorists since Al-Qaeda killed nearly 3,000 Americans on 9/11. In the process, we've hardened our defenses, from airports to financial centers to other critical infrastructure. Intelligence and law enforcement agencies have disrupted countless plots here and overseas and worked around the clock to keep us safe. Our military and counterterrorism professionals have relentlessly pursued terrorist networks overseas, disrupting safe havens in several different countries, killing Osama bin Laden.
Okay, of course, he had to throw that in there. Spike the football again in regards to Osama bin Laden.
And decimating Al-Qaeda's leadership. Over the last few years, however, the terrorist threat has evolved into a new phase.
Because of you, idiot.
As we've become better at preventing complex, multifaceted attacks like 9/11, terrorists turn to less complicated acts of violence like the mass shootings that are all too common in our society. It is this type of attack that we saw at Fort Hood in 2009, in Chattanooga earlier this year, and now in San Bernardino.
Okay. Once again, did he actually state and say that Fort Hood, Chattanooga, well, he actually did say San Bernardino was an act of terrorism, but did he actually say Fort Hood and the Chattanooga shooting was acts of terrorism? I'm going to let this clip play because I didn't catch it last night like people were saying that he did. He encapsulated it around the fact that when he was talking about that act of terrorism, and then he encapsulated Fort Hood and the Chattanooga shooting. But the distinct words, the Fort Hood shooting was an act of terrorism. Chattanooga shooting was an act of terrorism. I didn't hear it. Let the clip play.
And as groups like ISIL grew stronger amidst the chaos of war in Iraq and then Syria, and as the internet erases the distance between countries, we see growing efforts by terrorists to poison the minds of people like the Boston Marathon bombers.
Poison the minds of the Boston Marathon bombers? Does that make any sense to you? Seeing that we know how those jokers got into this country? Once again, failed policy, failed vetting, failed commander-in-chief. That person that I'm pointing at over there. His DHS allowed the Tsarnaev brothers to come into this country when they were actually watching them too, had them on a watch list, still let them in this country. So we're supposed to believe this man We're supposed to believe Barack Hussein Obama when he's saying this crap that's coming out of his mouth right now. You got to be out of your tree.
And the San Bernardino killers. For 7 years, I have confronted this evolving threat each and every morning in my intelligence briefing.
Stop. Stop right there. Are you kidding me? Did you hear what that idiot just said? How in every morning he has an intelligence briefing with his intelligence officials? When we know for certain, because even his own intelligence community has come out and said it, that he has only attended, and I believe I hope I'm getting this percentage correct, little over 60% of the intelligence briefings in the 7 years that he's been president. Now, you should have been at 110% of the intelligence briefings that come to you every morning. No, we know why. Because golfing, concerts with Jay-Z and Beyonce, like last night, goes to the Kennedy honors in the tux, comes back, changes, does this whole thing over here in the Oval Office, okay, with the dumbass podium. I'm trying to put my hand right. This podium down here. What was the podium for, America? What was the podium for? Why wasn't this ass sitting back over there like every other president has done? And obviously, like I said on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and everywhere else I could post it today, Tumblr, wherever. That dude over here did not want to make that statement in that speech last night. He would rather be at those Kennedy Awards, eating hamburgers and fries or whatever else he eats, stepping outside having a smoke. That's what he would rather be doing. He did not want to be there last night, America. Look at his face. It was in defiance that he was making this speech last night. He was in complete and utter defense mode. Because politically, this ain't looking too good for him. And everything and all things is political when it comes to Barack Hussein Obama. So for those on the fence as to, oh, wow, I'm glad he came out and said this. He said terrorism. He said this. No, this was a show. This was political at its core. And that's all it was. Because once I get done with this video, I'm going to discuss in depth why this man did not want to make this speech last night.
And since the day I took this office, I have authorized U.S. forces to take out terrorists abroad precisely because I know how real the danger is. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no greater responsibility than the security of the American people. As a father to 2 young daughters who are the most precious part of my life, I know that we see ourselves with friends and co-workers at a holiday party like the one in San Bernardino.
And let me pause that real quick. Thank you, Mark St. Laurent, for hitting me up and letting me know there was 43%. 43% of intelligence meetings that this man has attended and actually was present for. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I know we see our kids in the faces of the young people killed in Paris. And I know that after so much war, many Americans are asking whether we are confronted by a cancer that has no immediate cure. Well, here's what I want you to know. The threat from terrorism is real. But we will overcome it. We will destroy ISIL and any other organization that tries to harm us.
Okay, let me stop it right there. Who is the we? You're not included in that. Remember, ISIS was JV in 2014, coming in 2015. ISIS was JV, Hussein. Remember when you said that? So how does it go from, oh, they're just JV to we will defeat ISIS? You kidding me? He has no intent of containing, defeating, devouring, eradicating, whatever word you want to call it. That dude over here does not want to get rid of ISIS. He caused ISIS. He brought about ISIS when he took and removed the troops out of Iraq. We had Al Qaeda basically wiped out. We had them wiped out. But yet, he had to keep and maintain his campaign promise of getting us out of wars, not bringing us into wars. So, if he's going to continue that campaign promise, do you really think we're at war with ISIS? No. Do you really think that dude over here has full intent to take out ISIS? No. So please, spare me this whole argument that, oh my gosh, that speech he gave last night. If you listen to these idiots on the left and the liberal left media, you would have thought this dude was Ronald Reagan talking to freaking Gorbachev over in Russia. When he put down and laid down the line and told Gorbachev where to stick it. No. That speech last night was pure political bull.
Our success won't depend on tough talk or abandoning our values or giving in to fear. That's what groups like ISIL are hoping for. Instead, we will prevail by being strong and smart, resilient and relentless, and by drawing upon every aspect of American power. Here's how.
Okay. Here comes the real BS, people. Take a listen. I know you don't want to. I know you're probably thinking, why is he playing that you know who? But this is very important. This is very important to get into the mind of that over there. Okay? Because look between the lines, people. Look between the lines.
First, our military will continue to hunt down terrorist plotters in any country where it is necessary.
Really? Really? So you mean to tell me that your former, I believe, CIA, I forgot his name, and as I go ahead and do my research here, I can't remember his name. Let me take a look. Let me find out here. Just give me a second. But someone that used to be part of your administration, yes, former CIA Director Morrell said, and I'm paraphrasing, Obama doesn't want to bomb ISIS, say for instance, where ISIS may be located in oil fields, or they're in an oil tanker, or things of that nature. No, that dude over here doesn't want to bomb ISIS in that capacity. And you want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because he doesn't want to cause environmental damage by blowing up oil fields and oil tankers. That's right. Let me repeat. This idiot over here don't want to bomb ISIS in areas where they have infiltrated oil fields and have oil tankers in their possession, because this idiot over here is too concerned about the environment, too concerned about climate change. He don't want to blow up ISIS. He doesn't want to blow up ISIS in oil fields and with oil tankers because he doesn't want to damage the environment. So, is that an example of a commander-in-chief that wants to get rid of ISIS or any radical Islamic group roaming the world right now? No.
In Iraq and Syria, airstrikes are taking out ISIL leaders, heavy weapons, oil tankers, infrastructure. And since the attacks in Paris, our closest allies, including France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, have ramped up their contributions to our military campaign, which will help us accelerate our effort to destroy ISIL. Second, we will continue to provide training and equipment to tens of thousands of Iraqi and Syrian forces fighting ISIL on the ground so that we take away their safe havens.
Okay. You could have wiped out their safe havens from the get-go. You remember when the JV ISIS was just getting its feet wet, and they were in Syria, and they decided, you know what, we about to go over to Iraq and do our thing. Remember, there were broadcasts on television in the wide open desert crossing into Iraq. We knew where they were. We knew who they were and what they were about and what they were going to do. Do you really think that a commander-in-chief, and let me say this, a commander-in-chief that doesn't even know how to bomb someone in a wide open space? Are you kidding me? Are you friggin' kidding me? This so-called commander-in-chief could have wiped out ISIS when they were little puppies, but he didn't. He's kicking the can down the road, as I've said in the past, in regards to ISIS. And he will continue to kick the can down the road for his remaining year in office. Mark my words. There will be no great, what's the word I'm looking for? There will be no great, good Lord, I can't even think of the word. Advances made, thank you. Advances made in taking out ISIS. Because that man over here doesn't want to do it.
In both countries, we're deploying special operations forces who can accelerate that offensive. We've stepped up this effort since the attacks in Paris, and will continue to invest more in approaches that are working on the ground.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead here because I want to get into the nit grit of what I want to get to. I'm hoping I'm getting to the right spot here.
ISIL fighters were part of the insurgency that we faced in Iraq.
Okay, no, that's not it. I want to get to the last little bit where he goes
Of more than 1 billion Muslims around the world.
Okay, yeah, let me go back a little bit. This is where he starts crying and moaning that people are going after his fellow Muslim brothers and sisters.
ISIL does not speak for Islam.
Yeah, it does. The true Islam, yeah, it does. And let me just go back just a little bit more.
Special forces and working with local forces.
Okay,
who are
here we
fighting
go.
to regain control of their own country. That is how we'll achieve a more sustainable victory.
No. Here we
It
go.
won't require us sending a new generation of Americans overseas to fight and die for another decade on foreign soil.
Shut up. Here we go.
What else we cannot do.
Okay, prepare yourselves, people. This is the nit and grit. And I'm going to play just about a little bit of this. I'm going to have to take a break. But once we get back, but I'm going to play just a little bit more, just about a minute more or so. Take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to continue this. But this is where it gets juicy.
We cannot turn against one another by letting this fight be defined as a war between America and Islam. That, too, is what groups like ISIL want. ISIL does not speak for Islam.
Yeah, it does.
They are thugs and killers.
What
Part
good?
of a cult of death.
What good social
They
media?
account for a tiny fraction of more than 1 billion Muslims around the world.
Okay, yeah, you just said it. A tiny fraction of 1 billion is a lot, idiot. A tiny fraction of almost 2 billion. For the last time I checked, almost 2 billion Muslims roaming the world. If this is a fraction that are radicalized, they want to take me out, you out, even this idiot over here out. That's a lot of people who want to take us out. Ain't a small fraction. It's a lot.
Including millions of patriotic Muslim Americans who reject their hateful ideology. Moreover, the vast majority of terrorist victims around the world are Muslim.
He had to say that. The last time I checked, Christians are getting wiped out exponentially as compared to Muslims. So he's wrong again. He's false again. And this man who proclaims himself to be a Christian once again throws Christianity under the bus and exalts Islam.
If we're to succeed in defeating terrorism, we must enlist Muslim communities as some of our strongest allies, rather than push them away through suspicion and hate. That does not mean denying the fact that an extremist ideology has spread within some Muslim communities. There's a real problem that Muslims must confront without excuse. Muslim leaders here and around the globe have to continue working with us to decisively and unequivocally reject the hateful ideology that groups like ISIL and Al-Qaeda promote.
Okay. Boom! Bring my bumper music in. I want to pause it right there. And look at his face right there. Look at his face. He did not want to be there last night, people. He did not want to give that speech. He would rather be at those Kennedy honors, stuffing his face, sneaking out the back door to get a smoke. He did not want to give that speech. This is George Truly Dan Adams, a.k.a. the Soulful Conservative. And yes, indeed, let me get my hand right over here. Steelers 45-10 over the Colts last night. Put it down on them. Anywho, we're going to come right back after this 5-minute break, this 5-minute war radio break. We are America Radio. We are and will continue to be as we build. We're going to be your number one streaming source for political and government talk. So when we come back, we're going to get back to this idiot over here. Yeah, we are. Yep. Yeah, we are. Yep. Be right back.
You're listening to War. We are America Radio.
Peace and blessings, everybody. It's yours truly, Dan Adams, a.k.a. the Soulful Conservative, host of The Political Heat, live here on War Radio. We are America Radio, your number one streaming source for political and government talk anywhere. Remember, Jesus is the reason for the season. From my family to yours, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Are you among the 64% of Americans who believe our country is going in the wrong direction? If yes, then eVoiceAmerica.com is the political take-action site we've all been waiting for. And it's really free. eVoice America provides your personal list of elected reps every time you log on. This makes it so easy to email your opinions and e-votes on top issues directly to each of our DC elected representatives. eVoice then publishes our e-vote majority percentages on top issues to each member of Congress and the media. Now, for the first time in history, we can know what millions of American citizens are telling Congress. No more gridlock. Join the new American majority using eVoiceAmerica.com, putting Americans in control of Congress. Visit eVoiceAmerica.com today. It's free and easy to use. That's eVoiceAmerica.com.
I don't care who our candidate is, and I haven't since the beginning of this. I haven't. Ask not what the candidate can do for you. Ask what you can do for the candidate. We are there to confront them on behalf of our candidate. I will march behind whoever our candidate is, because if we don't, we lose. Because if we don't, we lose. Because if we don't, we lose. There are two paths. There are two paths. Black, white, gay, and straight. Anyone that's willing to stand next to me to fight the progressive left, I will be in that bunker. And if you're not in that bunker because you're not satisfied with this candidate, more than shame on you, you're on the other side. Thank you. Thank you. War.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that is sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty Health Share is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty Health Share is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Other high-powered weapons that military people use to kill in close combat? I don't think so. So I come from a different place than you do. I respect your views. I ask you to respect my views.
Mr. Chairman, nobody doubts her sincerity or her passion. And yet at the same time, I would note that she chose not to answer the question that I asked, which is, in her judgment, would it be consistent with the Constitution for Congress to specify which books are permitted and which books are not, and to use the specific
The answer
number?
is obvious. No.
You are listening to War. We are America Ready.
You're listening to War. We are America Radio, a place where conservatives, libertarians, and Tea Party Americans come together to get the real deal news. No filter, and a lot of patriotic spirit. We are America Radio.
Welcome back. Yours truly, Dan Adams, a.k.a. the Soulful Conservative, host of the Political Heat, Monday evenings, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are America Radio. As I said before I went to the break, we're on the new network, Sirius Network. We've taken over. We're about to expand and blow up. So be a part of the revolution. Be part of what we're trying to do here as a grassroots organization. Big shouts and big ups to my man Wayne Dupree, CEO of War Radio. And for those that don't know, I got the flow, so let's go. I'm bringing my independent hip hop artist out of me, you know. For those that don't know, I go by the independent hip hop artist name of Melodic, M-E-L-O-D-I-Q. Go to my website, melodic.com, M-E-L-O-D-I-Q.com. You can check out my music, you can purchase it, get into the groove. But before we went to break, we were talking about Hussein. That's right, Hussein, in the idiotic, and I mean idiotic, press conference he had last night in the Oval Office. For those that just, you know, grinned and bared it like I did and watched it live, I applaud you. And I applaud myself and pat myself on the back, seeing that I just felt like, oh my gosh, am I going to actually listen to this dude? And I did. Watch the whole thing, start to finish. So if you did, you get big ups. But let me go back to the side where you know who, and we're going to go ahead and continue.
Against not just acts of violence, but also those interpretations of Islam that are incompatible with the values of religious tolerance, mutual respect, and human dignity. But just as it is the responsibility of Muslims around the world to root out misguided ideas that lead to radicalization, it is the responsibility of all Americans, of every faith, to reject discrimination. It is our responsibility to reject religious tests on who we admit into this country.
Shut up. Let me pause it right there. Shut up. When you got almost damn near 90+% of the refugees and orphans and widows that you want to come into this country are Muslim. What's the deal with that, Hussein? Why haven't you come out and said that? Oh yeah, oh no, you don't want to say that. You don't want to bring out the actual facts of the situation because once again, everything is political with you. But a lot of Americans know exactly what the deal is when it comes to this whole situation of these refugees, these orphans and widows that you want to bring into our country, and not yours, but ours, me and you, our country. High 90% are Muslim. A small little minuscule, a little bit are Christians. Why is that? For a man who once again claims himself to be a Christian. Yes, let me say it again. Claims himself to be a Christian. Why wouldn't it be at the forefront? Why wouldn't it be in his best interest to bring in majority Christian refugees who have nowhere else to go? Nowhere else to go. In the place over there we call the Middle East, and especially in this Syrian country. So the man who proclaims himself to be a Christian, and I'm going to keep bringing this up. I was listening to the Dennis Prager show, and some guy came on and was saying that, Obama's a Muslim and blah, blah, blah. And he was saying that it don't matter that, that if he's a Muslim or a Christian. Yeah, it does. It absolutely matters to us Christians. You can't be masquerading, walking around saying that you're a Christian, but yet at every chance in the 7 years that you've been president, you've demeaned, besmirched, belittled Christianity at every turn. So yeah, Dennis Prager, and I hit you up on Twitter. I'll probably never get a response, but I hit you up on Twitter and say, yeah, leftism is the cancer running throughout America and is bringing America down. But do not make it a moot point that this man over here claims himself to be a Christian, but exalts Islam. Don't get it twisted, America. Don't get it twisted, my fellow patriots. Don't get it twisted. My firm belief, this dude over here is a Muslim. My firm belief, and statements made by the one Jeremiah Wright, the Reverend G.D. America Jeremiah Wright, made it easy for him to become a Christian but not denounce his Islamic faith. That's on tape and on audio. Go look it up. Jeremiah Wright said it. So please, spare me this whole deal about a religious test, about this is not who we are, and blah, 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 blah. Christians should be at the top of the list for refugees coming into this country, not Muslims and not anybody else, especially coming from that region, which is predominantly Muslim. Christians are getting slaughtered, beheaded, set on fire, put in cages, being blown up by IEDs, just for the fun of it, by ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, Khorasan, whoever the hell else. The man who proclaims himself to be a Christian should be bringing Christians, majority Christians, should be only Christians coming into this country. We know for a fact, and let me just say this, one of my best friends growing up was a Muslim. He didn't practice it. It wasn't his supreme goal to be the most devout Muslim, but he was Muslim. His mother was a devout Muslim. But did I hold that against him back then? No. Of course, I was a youngin'. None of this crap that's going on today was happening back then. But as I juxtapose and think about now as compared to then, of course he would still be my friend even though we've fallen by the wayside. Other story for another show. But we know for a fact that if all Muslims, the almost 2 billion Muslims roaming this planet right now, went to the letter of the law, dotted their I's and crossed their T's in regards to the literal depiction of Islam, this world would probably be taken over. Because, once again, I'm not a scholar, not an expert of Islam. But if you follow the core principles of Islam, me and you, not being Muslim, are the enemy. We are the infidel. And we are to be taken out by any means necessary. If you don't think that it's the truth and I'm not bringing you the facts, go read the Quran yourself. And then we can discuss this idiocy coming from this man over here.
It's our responsibility to reject proposals that Muslim Americans should somehow be treated differently. Because when we travel down that road, we lose. That kind of divisiveness, that betrayal of our values.
Shut up. Shut up. Betrayal of our values? Really? Really? This so-called self-proclaimed Christian who lit up the White House in rainbow colors? This man over here, who, for all accounts, would chop a baby's head off coming out of the womb in order to be the warrior for women and women's rights. Mr. Abortion Man over here, Mr. Sign the Born Alive, wanted to sign the Born Alive Act. If a baby was born out of a botched abortion, he would want somebody to kill that baby. Is that really Christian like? Is that what God and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ called us to do? I don't think so. So spare me this whole inclination that this man is a Christian.
Plays into the hands of groups like ISIL. Muslim Americans are our friends and our neighbors.
How do we know this, America? As I said in the social media outlets today, how do we 100% for the Muslim American? And you know what? If I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But where is the data? Where is the research? Where are the stupid Pew Research polls, whatever, that unequivocally say that Muslim Americans living here in America are peaceful, that don't fall into the precepts and premises of the literal, and I mean literal depiction of Islam, who don't see us as infidels, as the enemy? You show me, you give me concrete proof of that, then I will believe the crap that's coming out of this man's mouth.
Our co-workers, our sports heroes. And yes, they are our men and women in uniform who are willing to die in defense of our country. We have to remember that. My fellow Americans, I am confident we will succeed in this mission because we are on the right side of history. We were founded upon a belief in human dignity, that no matter who you are or where you come from or what you look like or what religion you practice.
Okay, that's all about him. That's all about his wife going down to Tuskegee University, talking about him having a funny name, him having allegiances to Islam, him having this and that. This is what it's all about. This person talking right now.
You are equal in the eyes of God and equal in the eyes of the law.
Please. Whoa. No. So as we've seen with decisions made by the Supreme Court, decisions made and thrown at us and thrown down our throats by this man over here, that us Christians are not being represented equally when it comes to law.
Even in this political season, even as we properly debate what steps I and future presidents must take to keep our country safe, let's make sure we never forget what makes us exceptional.
Really? Did you just hear what he said? What makes us exceptional? When for 7 years, and since day one, he probably couldn't wait after he was sworn in 2009 to head overseas and badmouth America, demean America, besmirch America, go on a global stage and rip us a new one? And he's talking about American exceptionalism? Are you kidding me?
Let's not forget that freedom is more powerful than fear. That we have always met challenges, whether war or depression, natural disasters or terrorist attacks, by coming together around our common ideals as one nation and one people.
Okay, your common ideas has nothing to do with our common ideas. Can I get an amen?
So long as we stay true to that tradition, I have no doubt that America will prevail. Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Okay. I'm so glad that I got through that because I needed to. I needed to break down, and I skipped a little bit. You know, that beginning was this whole BS about what he's going to do and how he's going to combat ISIS and defeat ISIS and eradicate ISIS, which he ain't going to do. We all know this. This coming from the man who can't even acknowledge Kate Steinle's death. You got sending his homeboy Jay Johnson out when confronted about Kate Steinle. Kate Steinle's name is brought up. Huh? Who's Kate Steinle? Really? A man who puts illegal, alien criminals ahead of us, born American citizens. Yeah. We really, really believe that you have America's best interest, America's safety, America's future in that warped mind of yours. You kidding me? You kidding me? Thank you for just sitting there and allowing me to break down the idiocy and lunacy of Barack Hussein Obama. The idiocy and lunacy of the left, the liberal left in this country. Let me just say this real quick. I got a couple more clips I want to play before I have to end my broadcast for this evening. Talk about a couple things. Hillary Clinton. Yeah, that, you know who. I am not the one to always want to bash the left. But unfortunately, they keep giving me material to bash them with. Case in point, the tragedy in San Bernardino. Linda Stasny or Stacey or whatever freaking name is from the New York Daily News. And I've been after her all weekend and all day today. Going after her in that article she wrote about the gentleman who was murdered, one of the 14 murdered in San Bernardino. Basically putting it at his feet, blaming him for... And it's taking every ounce of me to not want to just go to New York right now, go to New York Daily News's offices and just punch her in the face. And I'm not a guy that would ever put a hand on a woman. Let's just make that. I'm just so frustrated and pissed off that that's where they're taking me, America. They're making me want to punch a woman in the face. But I won't ever do that. You know that. That's not me. I wasn't raised that way. But the sheer frustration that I have with the left in America, where you would demean a murdered innocent victim just because he had some beef, supposedly, with Farouk. Mr. Clyde. I called her Clyde earlier in the program. Sorry. She's Bonnie. He's Clyde. The Bonnie and Clyde of the Muslim Islamic radical Islamic jihadism, whatever phrase, combination you want to call these devils, trying to pin it on one of the victims. Now, not the idiots that felt that they needed to just, okay, we got IEDs, we got pipe bombs, we got thousands upon thousands of rounds of ammunition. You know what? We're going to get all this stuff and just, out of happenstance, if somebody pisses me off, I'm going to get my wife, drop my kid off at my mom's house, and then go back to my workplace and shoot everybody the hell up. You think it was just on a whim that this dude and this woman did this? You kidding me? As a result, and as the facts come out, once again, Hussein and the left are wrong. Keep trying to push gun control. Never will happen. Try to confiscate guns of American citizens. You're going to see a revolution that you've never seen before. So, Barack Hussein Obama, if this is what you wanted, then guess what? This is what you're going to get. Because Second Amendment loving, including myself, because I love the Constitution, I love the amendments, and if somebody wants to purchase and own a gun legally in this blessed land that we call America, go for it. No man, not Barack Hussein Obama, not freaking Chuck Schumer, I don't give a heck who it is, shall infringe on the Second Amendment right of owning and bearing arms. Point blank. Why do you think the founding fathers phrased it the way they phrased it? Because as we see it, and for many people in the conspiratorial world out there, thinks that everything that Obama has done up until this point is for gain, and I mean gain as a, gain on the volume on the mixer that I got over here. He's trying to implement martial law, so he can just take over the police department and the police force across America, bring in the UN police force, do whatever the hell he wants by executive fiat. America, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up and smell the roses. Now, as I bring up this side by side, and please don't throw up. I know it's her, but these are two clips that I have to play. Yes, this is Hillary Clinton. Yes, side by side. Yes, this first clip over here to the left is just, once again, the idiots on the left just can't contain themselves. Can't say the word radical Islam. Won't say the words radical Islam. And for what and for why, only God knows.
You've also been reluctant to say we're fighting radical Islam, and I wonder why not. Isn't it a mistake not to say it plain that the violence is being pushed by radical elements in that faith?
Well, that's a different thing. Radical elements who use a dangerous and distorted view of Islam to promote their jihadist ambitions, I'm fine with that. I say it all the time, and I go after Islamists.
So what's the problem with radical Islam?
Well, the problem is that sounds like we are declaring war against a religion. And that, to me, is number one, wrong.
Even though the qualifier radical is there?
No, because, look, you know enough about religion. You've studied it. And there are radicals, people who believe all kinds of things in every religion in the world. I don't want to do that because, number one, it doesn't do justice to the vast numbers of Muslims in our own country and around the world who are peaceful people. Number two, it helps to create this clash of civilizations that is actually a recruiting tool for ISIS and other radical jihadists who use this as a way of saying, we're in a war against the West. You must join us. If you're a Muslim, you must join us. No. If you're a law-abiding, peace-loving Muslim, you need to be with us against those who are distorting Islam.
Another challenge you could face in this campaign, majority of Americans question your honesty. Some GOP rivals and family members of the Benghazi victims are saying you lied to them in that hearing. They point to emails that you sent the night of the attack, one to your daughter, Chelsea Clinton, saying, I'm going to have to put my glasses on here to actually read this. We were silent. Two of our officers were killed in Benghazi by an al-Qaeda-like group. Another one to the Egyptian prime minister. We know that the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest. But the family members, as you know, say you told them it was by a filmmaker. You'd go after the filmmaker. Here's what they said.
She lied. She absolutely lied. Her daughter was able to be told differently that it was not the video. It was something else. Now, if her daughter could be told, why can't I?
Either she was lying to the Prime Minister or she was lying to me and to the American public.
Did you tell them it was out the film, and what's your response?
No. You know, I understand the continuing grief at the loss that parents experienced with the loss of these 4 brave Americans. And I did testify, as you know, for 11 hours. And I answered all of these questions. Now, I can't help it that people think there has to be something else there. I said very clearly, there had been a terrorist group that had taken responsibility on Facebook between the time that when I talked to my daughter, that was the latest information. We were giving it credibility. And then we learned the next day it wasn't true. In fact, they retracted it. This was a fast-moving series of events in the fog of war.
Let me take myself off of mute and then you can hear me. I apologize. But that just right there just gives you just every example, what's the word I'm looking for here? And I appreciate you hanging in with me this evening. And it took everything and every ounce of energy for me to get through this broadcast. Got a heavy heart tonight. Found that my 13-year-old dog, Buddy, has advanced bone cancer. He's been my right-hand man for 13 years. And he doesn't have much time left with us. But for the time that we do have left, we're going to make sure he is pampered to the nth degree. Buddy, I love you. You have been the best dog that an owner could possibly have. And I love you. And for the time that we have left with each other, we're going to live it up. But as I was going back to this whole Hillary Clinton, this whole the liberal leftism disease running rampant throughout the country right now, especially for these past 7 years, America, it's time to wake up. Now, we know Barack Hussein Obama only has 1 year, hopefully just 1 year, with the conspiratorial people out there thinking that he's trying to worm his way, trying to finagle his way into a third term. And believe me, if anything comes about with that being true, I'm telling you right now, I'm leaving America. Peace and hair grease. I'm out. I'm not going to be able to take it. Me and my wife have already talked about it. Taking the kids and the pets, and we're out. So, when you have your prayers tonight, and let me start my bumper music back over, because I guess I talked a whole bunch. But, for those that want to get in touch with yours truly on social media, we can converse, we can disagree, because this is America. On Facebook, Dan Adams 73. On Twitter, Dan Adams PGH. And you can go to my website and get all the particulars. The Political Heat, all one word, thepoliticalheat.com. So until next time, God bless you and yours. May he keep you and your family safe. And as we look into the future, arm yourself. Do whatever you have to do to protect your family. Until next time, God bless. Peace.